Venables, along with the prior other coaches like Pat Narduzzi, has taken shots at Coach Prime. And for some reason, I don't understand why Deion Sanders keeps just being this stepping stone for these coaches to just criticize. Like, what's wrong with Deion Sanders running his program the way he sees fit? He isn't going on his media days and criticizing other coaches for how they choose to run their program. So Brent Venables, during Big 12 Media Day, had some really spicy things to say about Coach Prime's roster overhaul. So, in the interview that he did with one of these radio stations, I'm about to show it on screen, Brent Venables, in an interview with KREF 94.7 FM, pointed out the difference between his style and that of New Colorado coach. And he said, I gave guys 12 months of grace. I was unlike Deion, Venables said. I gave guys 12 months of grace to figure it out. Here's 3. Go to class, live right off the field, and when you show up, here you show up with respect and appreciation with your opportunity. And if you go 0-for-3 for 12 months, you need a fresh start. So we help 21 guys, give or take, find a fresh start. Brent Venables, people, these are his comments about how he feels about Deion Sanders' roster overhaul. And here's the thing, right? He's not wrong, but at the same time, Deion Sanders still is right. At the end of the day, Deion Sanders has a job to do. And you can't get mad at him for taking advantage of the rules. There's nothing that Deion Sanders is doing right now with this roster overhaul that is illegal or against the rules. You can't get mad at a coach for taking advantage of the rules. If the rules didn't allow for Deion Sanders to do what he's done as far as how he's utilized the transfer portal, then you can't really continue to use him as this punching bag to nail your frustration on, because that's really what it sounds like. It sounds like these coaches are a little bit salty because they've lost talented players to the transfer portal, and they're mad that Deion Sanders is completely building his squad through the transfer portal. You see, Brent Venables, I think that he has bigger problems to worry about with how his season went last year in Norman than what Deion Sanders has going up there in Colorado. You see, Brent Venables, he's not wrong, but at the same time, this is how Deion Sanders chooses to run his program. And so far, what he has done hasn't delivered bad results or good results. We're in wait and see mode. But it's not like people are coming out making bold statements against Colorado saying, oh, I've been mistreated by Coach Prime. At the end of the day, Coach Prime had to change the culture of that locker room. When Deion Sanders got there, he walked into a situation where those kids didn't know anything that it took to win. He ended up walking into a group of his players who were blasting music before meeting. And that's one of Deion Sanders' biggest no-nos. So Deion Sanders had to basically get rid of those players that didn't have the kind of mentality that he wanted in his program. Now, the way that he did it, you can say that, it probably wasn't the most ethical, but at the end of the day, they hired Deion Sanders to do a job. He has to do what he has to do to win, to stay employed. Same thing with Brent Venables. So how somebody chooses to run their program is how somebody chooses to run their program. There's not a right or a wrong way to this as long as you're doing it within the rules. People are taking shots at the wrong people. Take shots at the people in the suits and ties that end up making the rules that allow these things to happen. The NCAA doesn't do anything that really solves any of the issues that we have with the transfer portal or the NIL. So Brent Venables, instead of taking shots at Coach Prime, should be taking shots at them. You just can't get mad at another coach for taking advantage of the rules. You got to get mad at the people that allow those rules to be taken advantage of. That's common sense.
Come on now, dog.
Come on.
Come on, man.
You can't get mad at Coach Prime for going about his rebuild the way that the rules allow him to. You got to take that up with the people that allow these rules to be bended like that. If it was so much of a problem, Brent Venables, why don't you just go ahead and take it up with those guys? Why are you taking shots at Deion Sanders? That makes no sense to me. I'm really ready for this season to start. Because for those of you guys who really think that Colorado is only going to win 3 games, you're going to be incredibly surprised. Because Colorado is going to be way better than what a lot of you all think. And if they end up having a successful season where they at least make it to a bowl game and then some, do you not know how many other coaches are going to rebuild their programs that they get hired to in their first years in the same way that Deion Sanders has done so far with Colorado? You already know that it's a copycat league. So if Deion Sanders has success with the way that he's went about this transfer portal cycle, overhauling this roster, then there's other coaches that are going to follow suit. Kenny Dillingham was in the transfer portal just as much as Deion Sanders was, and nobody's talking about him. Brent Venables didn't take any shots at Kenny Dillingham. So I don't completely get why these coaches are so offended with what Deion Sanders is doing. They make it seem like they're taking up for the kids. If it's rubbing your skin such the wrong way, why don't you go ahead and pick up the kids that Deion Sanders let go into the transfer portal? Since you care so much about them, it's like you can't get mad at how somebody else chooses to run their program. There's not a morally wrong way that Deion Sanders has went about this. This is business. This is a performance-based business. And if you don't perform, you get fired. So therefore, Deion Sanders has to do what he sees as best fit for him to have success right away. Same thing with Brent Venables. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of things that Brent Venables has done, like Deion Sanders has done, that people would disagree with. The only difference is that this is Deion Sanders, and you know the name Prime just rings bells, and Deion Sanders is a Hall of Famer, so he has a really polarizing image, a really polarizing position in college football in terms of popularity and the attentions that he brings. Meanwhile, you look at a guy like Brent Venables, it's like nobody's really keeping up with him as much as they're keeping up with Deion Sanders. It's like there's plenty of things that Brent Venables might have done that people didn't agree with. And maybe the local news articles and the local media over there in Oklahoma covered it, but nobody on the national level is talking about it. So, Brent Venables takes a shot at Coach Prime. What do you guys think about this? I'm eager to see you guys' comments about this down in the comment section below.